Thank you for joining us for this press conference on a Sunday afternoon. I know that's a little bit unusual. I'm joined by Deputy Chief Kelly and Richland County Coroner Naida Rutherford. And once again, we're standing here talking about another young life lost to gun violence, young surviving victims to gun violence that's lives are changed forever. Families of our victims, their lives have changed forever. And of course, we have some young suspects to talk about that their unspeakable acts of violence, their lives are definitely changed forever. This is what we know as of today. On Friday morning, shortly after 5:15 a.m., officers were patrolling in the Elmwood Park neighborhood. They received a call about a possible car break-in, and they proceeded to that call for service. They were just a couple blocks away. Almost immediately upon receiving that call, the call was upgraded to shots fired, and then shots fired and a person hit. When they arrived just a minute later, it was at 2408 Lincoln Street, and it was a two-story residence. Officers heard screams from within the residence, and they forced entry through the front door. They immediately encountered an incredibly chaotic scene with multiple victims. Officers found 4 young people shot multiple times. They rendered aid. They applied a tourniquet until EMS arrived. They also detained several people who were not injured but present outside and inside the residence upon their arrival. The 3 surviving gunshot victims are 18 years old and 17 years old. 1 is a male and 2 are females. They're from Columbia, Richland County, and they all remain hospitalized and are in stable condition. And I'm going to ask Coroner Rutherford to speak to the identity and the manner of death of our victim that was fatally shot.
18-year-old Jayden Brackins. His name is spelled Jayden, middle name C-A-V-O-N, last name Brackins. Jayden was fatally wounded by multiple gunshot wounds, unfortunately, in the early morning hours at 2408 Lincoln Street on Friday morning, June 6, 2025. The manner of death is undoubtedly homicide. I've spoken directly with Jayden's mom and his aunt, who he was here visiting, and we will continue to work with law enforcement with this investigation. I'd like to take a moment to also address the public who may have information regarding this incident to please contact police and do not take to social media. His mom, his family, his community, they're reading these posts that you're putting out that contain false information. He died from multiple gunshot wounds and nothing else. So please be mindful of what you post on social media. And if you have any other information, you can contact myself at the Richland County Coroner's Office, 803-576-1799, or you can call the Columbia Police Department at 803-545-3500. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Coroner. This shooting crime scene can only be described as a war zone. When officers arrived, they arrived to smoke and the smell of gunpowder. The level of destruction caused by the gunfire was really just indescribable. The crime scene investigators recovered over 30 spent shell casings from multiple different weapon systems. The weapons did include an assault-style rifle. We're very pleased to provide an update on arrests. A 15-year-old male was arrested by the Columbia Police Department Friday night, June 6th. He's been charged with armed robbery with a deadly weapon, criminal conspiracy, possession of a weapon during a violent crime, and possession of a pistol by a person under the age of 18. He is detained at the South Carolina Department of Juvenile Justice. In the early morning hours of Saturday, June 7th, an 18-year-old by the name of Latrell, Latrell Daniel Dominic Huey, Hughey, date of birth 12/18/2006, was arrested by the Columbia Police Department. He's been charged with murder, armed robbery, 3 counts of assault and battery of a high aggravated nature, possession of a firearm during a violent crime, and criminal conspiracy. He's detained without bond at the Alvin S. Glenn Detention Center. We're actively looking for a third suspect. We've identified this suspect as a 15-year-old male, and we have warrants for his arrest for the following: murder, armed robbery, 3 counts of assault and battery of a high and aggravated nature, possession of a firearm by persons under the age of 18. This is important. We anticipate additional charges and additional arrests. This investigation is advancing rapidly and effectively, and we absolutely expect to arrest some more people. I want to acknowledge the outstanding work of our responding officers. As I said earlier, that scene was chaotic. They acted courageously. There's no question that they preserved life, and their lives will forever be changed. I want to recognize our investigators who once again got on this and have not let up on the gas from the very beginning, and they've still got a lot of work to do, but their work has been incredible. Our crime scene investigators, the work that they did on that scene, which again I described as really being indescribable, will forever impact them, but their work was critical to putting the pieces together that led to these arrests. And of course our partnering agencies, the Richland County Coroner's Office, the Sheriff's Department, and South Carolina Law Enforcement Division all assisted us in the last couple days. I also want to thank the residents of Elmwood Park. They were instrumental in providing very critical information, video, witness information. We value our partnership very much with the residents in Elmwood Park, the neighborhood association. It's a great example of why those partnerships are so important to establish before something happens, not after. And that certainly was the case here. Now I want to preemptively address the Airbnb aspect of this investigation. The incident location being rented was an Airbnb owned by Cornerstone Properties. We have issued them a notice of our intent to declare the property a public nuisance as defined by the City of Columbia Code of Ordinances, Section 8-31C5, and South Carolina Section Code 15-43-10. The owner has been ordered to immediately cease operations of the Airbnb. I've personally spoken with the owner and his management company, and they have been 100% cooperative from the very beginning. They've been very helpful throughout the investigation. The property in question, the Airbnb, did not have any history with the Columbia Police Department. We've received a lot of questions about short-term rental, the short-term rental ordinances. Those are policy questions. They're not law enforcement questions, so I'm not going to speak to those. So we'll continue to update you as this investigation progresses, and I'm glad to take a few questions.
So I read online that from other members of Elmwood Park, they were saying that there's over like 20 different short-term rentals in the area, and that there's been multiple complaints about these short-term rentals in the area. Can you speak to that? Is that something that you?
We're going to speak about this investigation. I know there will be policy discussion on short-term rentals. Our code enforcement division was instrumental in developing the policies to address code enforcement matters and rental property matters. So that question will be very relevant to that discussion that I'm sure will occur this week, and they will be available to provide all the pertinent data and information to help our elected officials, make policy decisions. And I think at that time it would be appropriate to answer those questions. But we are aware of the number of short-term rentals that are in just the Elmwood Park area, and we'll be able to speak to that at another time.
Chief, you said there were multiple shell casings at the scene, multiple weapons. Do you have any information of what caliber of weapon, what type of weapon you fired fatal shots?
We do. We do have that information, but again, the investigation is very active. So we would just describe it as multiple calibers of multiple weapons.
That fired the fatal shots for multiple calibers, multiple weapons?
That's not something we will know until we have ballistic examination results.
Did the suspect and the victims know each other?
I'm going to choose my words carefully. We believe that people were acquainted with one another loosely, and not everybody knew everybody, but some knew some, if that makes sense.
And do we know like why this happened?
We have some working theories, but we do not have a motive that we're in a position that we can say with certainty is the reason why.
And you guys ruled out any gang affiliation?
We haven't ruled out anything because we're still in the midst of the investigation, so I don't think we can say we've ruled out anything. Anything else? Thank you very much.